problem number one is quality. What do I mean by quality? Well, really simply, I've been around the country, the world, a little bit doing agile stuff, and I've been in software for a long time. Once upon a time, maybe 10 years ago or so, I was wandering about in an insurance company, and somebody said, "Hey, Kyle, we're about to start a project." I said, "Cool, what kind of project are you starting?" They said, "Oh, we're starting a project where we are going to provide a discount for our insurance to veterans on Veterans Day." I said, "Good idea, right? Discount for veterans on Veterans Day. Great." And then they said, "Yeah, now we need to estimate the project." I said, "Okay, great. You start looking at your estimate. I'll do some back of the envelope calculations and see what I think it should take." So I've been in software for a long time. I look at the estimate. I go, okay, well, this thing, I think we're going to need to fix this controller over here, and then we're going to need to change the domain model a little bit. We're going to need to add a field over here. It looks like there's a couple tables over here that need to be handled. Okay, me and a tester, I can do it in a week. 2 weeks, let's be safe, right? Me and a tester, 2 weeks, 10K, right? I was a little less senior back then, but 2 weeks to do this, that's my estimate. Okay, cool. That's Kyle's estimate. 2 weeks, $10,000. Couple minutes later, or a couple weeks later, it took them 2 weeks to come back. They came back and said, "Okay, we have our estimate." So we're already in a place where they took 2 weeks to make an estimate that I thought could be done in 2 weeks, and that bothered me a little bit. They said, "Yeah, we'll take a team and we'll take a quarter. It'll cost $250,000 to do this." So I'm looking at my estimate. My estimate was, if we remember, $10,000 in 2 weeks, and their estimate's $250,000 and 13 weeks. And I'm going, those numbers don't line up very well. Okay, I'm an agilist. I make mistakes, right? I believe that human beings make mistakes, and so I could be wrong. Why don't I talk to somebody who's smarter than me, maybe? So I wandered off, and I got some friends out in Silicon Valley, and everybody in Silicon Valley does advertising. I mean, Facebook's an advertising group, Google's an advertising group, right? So I go talk to one of my advertising guys in Silicon Valley and say, "Hey, quick question. Do you do rate codes?" They say, "Yeah, we got rate codes, right? Different advertisement stuff has different rates." Great. So I was just talking to my buddies at a company, and we're trying to do a discount. And so I'm trying to set up a discount for veterans on Veterans Day. And they said, "Oh, really? We just finished that." So, "Oh, wonderful. So I don't have to set up the whole problem. You know this problem." Yeah. Yeah. And just to make sure, we're doing insurance and you're doing advertising, we have to handle 50 states worth of regulations. You have to handle 200 countries worth of regulations. So, I mean, you're a highly regulated industry here. Okay, fine. So I'm not too worried about the problem being a lot harder. Great. How hard was it? I mean, I know there's a lot of secrecy. You're in Silicon Valley, so you can't tell us exactly, but how long did it take? "Oh, no, this one's not a problem." And I don't have to look anything up because I did it. "Oh, you did? Great. So how long did it take you?" "An hour." "You did adding a rate code for veterans on Veterans Day in an hour?" "Yeah. It wasn't that hard." Okay. So now I have a problem because I estimated it would take me a week and a second week for testing for safety, and would cost $10,000. This person, they're working for a large company in Silicon Valley. They did it in an hour, and that's an hour from request to production, right? And the insurance company said it would take $250,000 in a quarter. On real quick math, that says that some software is 1,000 times cheaper to change, 1,000 times faster to change than other software. If your actual concern is the ability to turn and change directions, it seems to me that the fact that some software is atrociously hard to change and other software isn't, seems to me a giant problem, a neon flashing sign in your bedroom saying, look, pay attention to this. If we're going to say, I want to solve a problem, then this is one of the problems that's up there screaming at you saying, some software is 1,000 times harder to change than others. Since that time, I went looking because first I did a check. There's what I've checked, but maybe I'm wrong twice. Okay, so I went out and did some research. I found a paper out produced by some guy. It said that some teams are able to produce software at a rate 2,000 times faster than other teams. The guy who wrote that paper, some guy named Jeff Sutherland, I think, right? And then, I went out and looked and I talked to some buddies, and I found one of my buddies in the Netherlands was talking to him, and he said, yeah, I had this, we built 3 systems at the same company, right? They all did basically the same thing, but we needed overlap. And the boss came to us and said, hey, I need to make change X to these 3 systems. And please, the 3 leaders, how much will it take? And leader number 1 says, did his counting. Okay, it's going to take me a month. And leader number 2 says, it's going to take me a month. And leader number 3 gets really nervous. He goes back and said, give me a minute. I have to go talk to my team. He goes back and talks to his team, comes back, quietly doubles the estimate and says, 30 minutes, right? 30 days versus 30 minutes. It's not like this 1,000x number is just me once. I've got several stories like this. Some software is far, 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 like 3 orders of magnitude harder to change than others. And the Agile people walking in trying to say, let's solve software problems knew that. That's one of the problems we were trying to solve with Agile, is some software is a lot harder to change.